Welcome to the Holistic Chamber Community Education Panel. And today we're speaking about abundance and prosperity. So as we all just kind of take a moment to arrive here and get grounded, I say take a breath in gratitude for that breath. Feel it, and let it go. Okay, my name is Deb Martin. I'm with Lotus Blossom Clinic, and you are here today with Amy Rybicki, myself, and Lainie, Sevante, Wulkan, and at the end, Heather Phillips. We are part of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and this fair lady immediately on my right, your left, created, founded, and is the president of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. There are two of those branches right up here, one in Cape Coral and one in Fort Myers. So Lainie does many, many things in addition to being the president of the Holistic Chamber. And I believe today you're going to be talking about the Intuitive Wisdom recording label, correct? Yes, so she also has other businesses, and you're an intuitive reader, and many, many things. And a marketeer extraordinaire. I learn every day something from you. That's abundance, exactly. So we also have sponsors for this event, Lotus Blossom Clinic being one of them. And you'll hear me speak a little bit more about Lotus Blossom Clinic when I'm actually introducing myself. We're each going to introduce ourselves today. But we love being a part of the chamber, something great, something grand, something that outreaches into the community. And it's so connecting. I see some familiar faces here. People have come and then they have begun to join. You can join as a person with a holistic practice yourself. You can join as a private member, right? So then you just get to hang with us and enjoy some of the discounts and things. Come to our events. It's fun. Anything else, Lainie?
Yes, we have a couple more sponsors. Natural Awakenings magazine. How many of you know about our panels through Natural Awakenings? Because we put an ad out every single month, letting you know what panels are coming up for the next month. And they're great partners of ours, and we have a green page there that people know about us. We showcase some of our members, and it's a really great, wonderful marriage there. And also, Muscle Tuners International is a partner and a sponsor of our panels. So Heather will share more about what Muscle Tuners International is all about. I do want to let you know that this is all being filmed. This will be edited. Our company, Intuitive Wisdom, does many things, film and music and recording studio and record label, but we film these. Give a big shout out to Liam over there. He's our extraordinary everything for what we're doing here, but this will be repeated. So you can go to our HCC SWFL YouTube channel, and not only this one, but several of our past panels will be there. So if you love what you hear today, you can go on and subscribe, and then you'll be notified when the next ones, and you can share this with others. So hello to everybody out in YouTube land.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, each panelist has chosen a question and a topic, but first we need to introduce ourselves. So, Lainie, would you like to do a little bit more of an introduction, or are we pretty complete with you? You can go ahead.
Well, part of the intro is why we chose to be here. There's many people in our membership. There's many people who embody an abundant consciousness, if you will, and there's many that don't. And what we felt, I believe, and I'll just speak on my behalf, is that this is such an important topic, because it's not just about how much money you have in the bank and the car you drive and the house you live in. It's really about walking in an abundant consciousness on all levels of your life. And so as a result of living that embodiment and being that in the way I model and have a wonderful team here for the chamber and do that, I also have what is, as Deb had mentioned, Intuitive Wisdom, and we'll talk a lot about that today. But what we had done there is create a compilation of CDs on different topics. And this Friday, will be coming out with the Abundance CD, and we'll be talking a lot about it today because out of the 10 recording artists on there, 4 are up here, and I believe 2 are in the audience. So there's 6 out of 10 here to share their abundance of all levels. So that will come up as a common theme. So I'm here today to talk about that, to share abundance in all ways. Perfect.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I had to think about all these things to say. Well, I'm from Denver, Colorado. I thought I'd start there and just say that I love being there. I love being here. Nature calls to me always. We have so much abundance around here of that. I have a bachelor's degree in business and 18 years working in the corporate environment as mostly in training and product development work. And I'm now a Reiki master and a certified food healer in the Conquering Any Disease food healing system, a phytochemical-based system. And how did I take the leap from that whole corporate America thing into something like Reiki, which is energy healing? Well, that's part of my journey here. And, oh, by the way, I'm a spiritual recording artist, right? Like all of these ladies up here. And that is a whole journey in and of itself. To have the ability to go out on Pine Island and find an excellent recording studio with fun people, with spiritually aware people, a very supportive environment, and begin doing something that can be shared all over the world, wow, what a possibility. In 2007, we moved to Florida. My husband and I, Dr. David's in the back, and we began Lotus Blossom Clinic with Dr. David as the doctor of Chinese medicine, also known as acupuncture physician in the state of Florida, and he had a part-time receptionist. And today, almost 13 years later, there are 20 of us at the clinic, and we cover many realms of holistic and natural healing. So there's abundance, big time. And we love it because we change lives, we heal naturally, people have fun. They come and they become community in some of the classes, like Candy Love teaches yoga class every Friday morning, and others. And this is why I'm here. I love to share excellent information. I enjoy seeing people be healthy and well in a place feeling supported where they can give their gifts. That's what draws me out of bed every morning. And all of the details that it takes to create what we have here, to create a clinic, to just have that ability to interact with people like I was sharing with Lisa and her friend Karen this morning. I just love having that ability to connect in. So vision with me, because if you know me, you want to know this about me. See in the not so distant future that all Americans, or most of them at least, are going to think first of natural and holistic healing medicines and practices. Not to the exclusion of using other forms of medicine, but to think first, because this is lifestyle medicine. This is dealing with chronic issues, perhaps, that people have, that they suffer with for a long time. And there's so many doorways in. So the Holistic Chamber represents all of that. So I invite you to find out more and to check out certainly our website and all the Holistic Chamber websites and Facebook pages and find out more about holistic and natural healing. So that's me.
Hi, my name is Heather Phillips, and I am born Canadian, and I love to spend the winters in warm, sunny Florida. I don't get a lot of sunshine north. So, first of all, I wanted to give gratitude for you all being here today. I've got a Canadian friend in the audience. Thank you for being here. And thank you to Lainie and Deb and Amy for being on the panel with me. Lainie helped start me on this journey of holistic in a bigger way than I was already doing. My degree is in physical and health education, and my honors thesis was about energy balancing, strengthening muscles. And we found that the energy balancing didn't strengthen the quadriceps directly, significantly, like scientifically significantly, but it did increase the quadriceps, or pardon me, the hamstrings, not significantly. And I'm going, oh my God, my thesis has gone crazy. So what ended up happening is my thesis proved that energy work balances muscles. And for an athlete, phys ed background, for athletes, and for the normal everyday person, that takes the pressure off the joints. And when the joints are not under stress, there won't be so much injury and there won't be so much pain. So in the just recently, I have not changed my direction, but had a focus on pain. So I had back surgery when I was 20, and I've been virtually pain-free ever since. And I attribute that because I'm an energy worker. I teach people about energy in their own bodies and how to move the energy and how to make it flow, how to identify which meridian system is out of balance, out of flow, and putting it back into balance and back into flow. And when all 14 major meridians, there's way more, and Dr. David could tell you there's more than 14, but the 14 that I work with, when they're in flow, there's definitely less pain. So I teach a class called Energy Boost Self-Care that specifically teaches people to win the pain game. WinThePainGame.com is not live, but it will be in the next month or so. What else do you need to know about me? I really am passionate about community as well, hence I'm part of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. I'm very passionate about gathering people who do the same work I do, creating and building a community of muscle tuner specialists, which is the other course that my business partner and I created, and the Energy Boost Self-Care. So the network is muscletuners.net website as a directory of all people who become facilitators and teachers and practitioners of muscle tuner specialists. And so with everybody in the room and with the panel, I think we have an affinity to community and building community and being in community and sharing and caring with all of us. And I'm just thinking I think that's the introduction. I think that's where I'll stop for now. But my company's called Muscle Tuners International, Inc. And we're based out of Canada, but we're international and our trademark is international. Thank you.
What is your recording on the abundance track?
What do you think it might be? Energy abundance. Abundance for energy flow. That's, yeah. So the other thing is I'm also an author. So an author and a recording artist is kind of cool.
What is yours, Deb?
Abundance for creating greater harmony.
Hello, I'm Amy Rybicki. Would you like to know mine too? Yes. Abundance in living the life you truly desire. So my journey began, I guess, about 35 years ago. I was a teacher. When I graduated college and also PE and health, I was in the health and fitness area for 16 years working with adults. And when I recognized that habits were really something that was driving people, and a lot of people I was working with had had habits for 20, 30 years and were frustrated because they didn't know how to change them, my solution at that moment was to work with young kids, thinking I could help them to create habits at an early age. So I did that for 14 years, and it was a really very fulfilling time for all those years. But I was also very busy, and I was not only teaching, but I was also coaching. I also was an athlete, so I also coached cross country and track and field, and so my day was very long, and there wasn't a lot of free time. So things were changing kind of in the school that I was at, and I was approaching my 50th birthday and thinking it was really time for me to think about how I wanted to live my next 10, 20, 30 plus years. And I thought habits were really the key to this. So I decided I wanted to work with adults again. And I actually Googled habit change because I thought habits were really the crutch of where I felt like I needed more training in helping people change their habits, not just for temporary, but to really transform how they're living. And I found the Health Coach Institute, and my journey began. I really set out to try to help other people transform their lives, and I really transformed my own. Because I really did uncover things in my training and that journey were keeping me stuck where I was and making me believe that I couldn't do anything more than what I was doing. And breaking down those barriers really set me free and really taught me how to help other people do that. So really, my focus now, my business is simply natural coaching, and that's got another whole story to it that has to do with hummingbirds, and you'll see my logo has a hummingbird on it. But really, I specialize in helping busy women simply slow down and balance their busyness and create calm out of their chaos, because that really was me. I didn't know how to do that, and I've learned how to do it, and now I try to help others do the same thing. Why am I on this panel? Because I feel like I really have created abundance in my life and our life. My husband's here with us. He's in the back. Everybody wave to David. And really, once I really learned the power I had inside me, and that really my mindset, and if I could create a vision for what I wanted and believe that it was going to happen, that it would, and we've done that. We're living on the dream property for me anyway. We live on a nice 5-acre property in North Fort Myers, and I'm creating this farm that I've always dreamed about. So now we have 14 chickens and 2 goats, and 2 more goats on the way, and 3 dogs, and lots of trees and gardens, and I pretty much look at it and think, what do I want to do next? And I just do it. So creating abundance and prosperity for me is what we've done with our lives. So I'm happy to be here and share it with you.
Thank you. So many of you are probably wondering what are some best practices on bringing in abundance and manifesting some of these things that we're talking about here today. And we're going to unveil a lot of that. I think, did we end up swapping questions pretty much? That's okay. We'll just flow with it. My recording, by the way, is Abundance for Loving Relationships on that track. We're going to be kind of sprinkling that throughout the day. But before you can be abundant, you need to know what abundance really means. How many of you know in your heart what abundance is? You hear it, you sometimes know it, and sometimes you feel it. But we want to really share across the board today what our perspectives of abundance is, and see if you resonate, and maybe you can come up with your own definition. So who would like to go first in identifying what abundance means? You have a short one? Okay. Heather gets it.
Abundance has manifested in my life by being loving, caring, self-love, being grateful, always being grateful for what I have, and aspiring to what I want, but always being grateful for what I have, and having that loving feeling in my heart and in my body, and creating the energy flow around it. Always knowing what you want, but being present to what you have and what is, and always being grateful.
Thank you. Deb?
Oh, go ahead. Yes, I'm going to echo that, because abundance is a feeling. It's going to be different, unique for each one of us, but it's a feeling, and you know it when you have it. You feel fully supported. You feel like you have enough to share, whatever that is, with others. Be it something tangible like food, be it a hug, an emotional expression with someone. You have an abundance, and it's an overflow, and you can share it. And it's a conscious choice, really, to feel abundant also. The more conscious that we are of it, the more of it comes. It's what we pay attention to that creates the scenes of our lives. I just heard that on a record as I was coming here. So the practice of gratitude is something that I think you'll hear from each one of us. It's very important. And having some spiritual practice in the morning, some time for you. This is self-care too, connecting with the higher realms. Prosperity is more in the tangible world. That's the way I think of it. All, the cars, the clothes, those sort of things are tangible. And boy, does thinking, speaking, and feeling create that tangible world. So those are some things that come to me. And then there was a quick quote that I found Plant seeds of happiness, hope, success, and love. It will all come back to you in abundance. This is the law of nature. Steve Maraboli.
I love that. It's beautiful. And by the way, you can ask questions anytime something comes up. I'm going to throw in my own definition of abundance. Abundance is when you are in energetic alignment with your true, authentic self. Okay? So what is energetic alignment? When your body lights up like a Christmas tree, when everything is firing on cylinders, all 4 cylinders, when you know right action is showing up because you have chills up and down your spine, when you are focused on something and you've seen multiple signs that that is for you, that's energetic alignment. What is your true authentic self? Honoring your own sovereignty. It's really stepping into your own truth and knowing when you are in energetic alignment, because you will feel abundant in anything that you're going for, whether it's a new job, it's a new relationship, it's feeling better mentally, having a better connection to spirit. However you define abundance in whatever direction it is, the only way to get there is when you're on course, and the only way to do that is getting to the truth of what you really believe is for you. I'll leave it like that.
Wonderful. Yeah. I guess just to add to all this, because I believe all of what was shared was wonderful. I guess to add on to it is abundance it's a feeling, and it's a feeling of overflowing, that your cup is overflowing and you have so much of whatever you know or feel that you want to share it with everyone that you know. So for me, I think it shows up really in my space, my farm. I feel like I was blessed with this amazing property, and it's abundant in so many different ways that I'm overflowing with ways that I can share it with people, and I want to do that. So I think it is when you're feeling aligned with who you are and you have something to offer that you just want to share it with everyone else. So I guess it is that alignment. So we're all saying it in different ways.
Yeah, I just want to comment that besides running the media company, I'm a 4th generation intuitive. I've been reading my whole life, tarot and oracle decks. I'm pleased to say that in a few weeks' time, I'll be announcing my own deck, finally coming out to the world, and it's going to be very, very exciting to share with all of you publicly. But the number one reason people come for readings is because they lost their way on how to get back on center about their abundance. On whatever the situation is, they forgot the power that is within them and with all of you. So this topic is so important because I see it over and over again, and all of us are feeling, most of the time we say we're stuck, we're blocked, we don't know how, why, and we keep thinking it's out there. And I think what we're all sharing today is that the feeling, everything that each one of you are expressing is about, it starts inside. And you want to comment on that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I just
All right.
agree.
Moving along.
Okay, I think I'm next, right? How do we create abundance in our lives? Well, you guys have probably heard of a vision board, right? Who's used a vision board before in their life? Okay. Well, I think it's one of the most amazing tools because we all have an imagination. We can all imagine things, and so we can see things, right, in our heads. But when you put it on a board and it's where you can see it all the time and really focus on it, your intention really becomes more real. It makes it physical, and then when you actually speak it out loud and say what you want, the universe hears that, and so you really are speaking what you want. So for me, and I would just use this property as an example of this, is when I really became intentional and said we really wanted to find a space that we could create a different kind of life. This property kind of appeared to us, and I actually took a picture of the area view and put it on my vision board, and I just looked at it and said, I don't know how it's going to happen, I just know it's going to happen. And then being willing to just kind of follow where I was being led and not worrying about how I had to make it happen. So I have to get out of my own way a lot of times to say, I don't have the answers, I'm just going to believe it's going to happen, and I'm just going to be grateful as if I already have it. And just thanking as if it's already happening. And so those are really tools that I use with my clients. The vision board's a great tool. Even if they don't use that, it's actually writing it down, what they create the vision for what they want to create, actually speaking it out loud, really acknowledging it, and then working on getting out of their own way, because like Lainie said, it's really in us. Those blocks are really in us. And once we recognize what they are, and we have someone to help us work through them, which there's many ways to do that, and then just allowing ourselves to receive it. And I think women are more challenged with that oftentimes because we're not receivers as much as we are givers. So allowing ourselves to receive is really key, and believing that you deserve it, just like anyone else, if you really are willing to.
Okay, great. Thank you. And yes, I'm going to echo a lot of things that you said, and I'm going to give everybody an acronym. Okay, it's called SIT. You're doing it right now. Okay, but SIT stands for something. There's a spiritual practice component to this. There's the intention component in the vision board. What is your intention? And lastly, there's a treat, and then you got to move your feet. So the treat component of it is things like prayer work. You may even consider it education, going out, finding that, doing that practice. All of us up here have gotten various degrees, and we set that intention and we work for it. When we moved to Florida, I set an intention that I wanted to deepen my spirituality. Oh boy, I didn't know what I was asking for. Okay, so part of it was pretty darn bumpy, but boy, am I so much richer for this whole experience. And I asked for it, and I got it. I called it in, yeah. And what I know without a doubt now is that I and we all are co-creators with the divine. We all have capabilities that are just amazing, well beyond our five senses. So the spiritual practices are big. I have one in the morning. I do yoga, meditation, prayer work, journaling, reading, whatever. That's my time. I love that time. It's so grounding. Next, the I in SIT. So first was the spiritual, the spiritual practices. Second is the inspiration component. You've got to identify what inspires you, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what lights you up like a Christmas tree. And then you've got to announce that vision. So I do this all the time. I'm an Aries and I'm an extrovert. So I'm announcing and I'm climbing hills, and that's what I do. Everyone has their own way of doing that. You don't have to be an extrovert. Announce what it is to those close around you, because our words are powerful. They're creative. Lastly, the treat and move your feet. Okay, so this is, you know what it is. You're doing some work around it. Now, you really lock in on it, and you do the work that's necessary. So you take the classes, you acquire the business license, you make the friend in the community, whatever it is that's your desire, you do those things. And I live and breathe my vision. I think, to be infused with that thing that propels each of us forward, that is our joy, right? And joy for me is taking care of the infrastructure that we've created together, spreading the word, showing up. This is a big one. You hear this all the time. Dr. David says it. 70 or 80% of life is showing up, like you guys did here today. Good going. Invite people. I love to invite people to do things, right, with the abundance that we have. So try something new. I design classes. I share success stories. There are such amazing things that happen in a clinic and happen in each of our practices. For example, with us, I remember a 4-year-old boy, an autistic child, who was still not potty trained and wasn't in connection with people. He didn't make eye contact, and he did not speak. He's 4 years old. Can you imagine his mom? Oh, she's at her wit's end. In just a few months, like 3 months or so, I came into the clinic one afternoon, and I hear a child laughing. And I asked the woman at the front desk that day, I said, Jenny, what's that? She says, oh, that's little Flynn. And here he is. He's making such progress that he's connecting and he's laughing. Okay, so there are many, many things that we see at the clinic that acupuncture can help with. There was a young mother who was facing surgery for carpal tunnel, and in one acupuncture session, it reversed completely. All the people that come in that are helped by Dr. David, by Candy, by Marva, by Larry, by all of those at our clinic, those who come to classes, like the one Heather will be giving in March. I watch for the magic to happen also. Isn't that fun? When the synchronicities show up, I watch for that to happen. And key is to this creation is, once again, knowing and feeling, actually cultivating that feeling of abundance, that feeling that it's already done. So thank you.
Everything Deb said. But I want to add an S to the sit, so it sits. So you sit. The S that I want to add is surrender. So it's the show up and shine. It's the inspiration, spiritual, treat, move your feet, the action. Gotta have the action. But I can tell you from personal experience that oftentimes when I pushed and pushed, the vision is so clear and you just like, you want it now. You want it now. Now. Like when? Come on, now. All of a sudden it's like, okay, I give up, I surrender. Let it happen when it's supposed to happen. And once I surrender, it often shows up immediately. So thank you for the sit. Now it sits.
I've maintained a process that I've mentioned before, and I'll mention it again for those of you who haven't heard it, but I go by my 3 pillars, and those pillars have been tried and true for me for many, many years. So it goes like this. The first pillar is clarity of vision. In order to have, and it actually is a variation of sits, but this is the pillar, but you need to be clear on what it is that you want. You need to be so clear, as in crystal clear, that that light is shining so brightly on you that you're creating a beacon to the universe, God, Spirit, Jesus, whomever, to get the sign, to get the notification that you are clear on what it is that you are envisioning. You can't waver. You can't do anything and expect it to come. The expectation won't be there. The expectation will be there, but the result won't. But when you're clear on your vision, that's your first step in energetic alignment. Make sense? So really take the time to get clear. And once you have your clarity of vision, you have to have your definiteness of purpose. So take that clarity of vision and you have to be extremely definite about it. You need to know the why. You need to know the what. That's kind of the first 2 steps. That definiteness of purpose is your energy that you're putting into what it is that you want to manifest to create that abundance and prosperity. And then the third would be definiteness of faith. Because now that you're clear on what you want, you have the clarity of vision and you have the definiteness of purpose, you have to have that steadfastness of faith to know, as we've mentioned, many of us, that it is already done, that it has already happened. And I've also used this analogy, and I'll use it here because it fits with this topic, is when you're at the restaurant and you are so clear that you are going to have this particular item on your menu. You're like, that's what I want. You're clear, you can taste it, smell it, almost your stomach will probably like, yep, that's the entree I want. You give it to the server, and the server takes it back to the chef. And most of you go on with your meal or your conversation. You're clear on what you wanted. You made a purposeful intention by telling the server, and now the server is bringing it to the chef, which is spirit. And you've let it go. They are preparing it. You are clear that they're going to make it exactly how you want it. It's the same analogy. Pretend the chef is the spirit in the sky or the universe or whomever, and it comes back. And that is clear. Step 1 through 3 is the steadfastness of faith of what you've put out is what will come back to you. Sometimes it may be a little bit of different and there's refinements, but if you just use some of these sort of analogies, you will have very easily, much easier, a way to bring it in faster than wavering and throwing, the expression, throwing things and seeing what sticks. That's not the beacon that I'm talking about. I'm talking about, this is what I want, that is why I want it, and Spirit will provide the how to bring it in. Good? All right. Heather.
I have a few manifestations of abundance, so that's what I'm going to be speaking about. And the manifestation of abundance for me has happened several times in my life. One, I used a vision board, and I created a husband, which wasn't a husband, it was a boyfriend, a new car and a new job in 7 days. Wow. So it happened really fast. So at the tender age of 27, I had that vision board manifest quickly. Before that, I read a book by Catherine Ponder called Open Your Mind to Prosperity. And I also was a Louise Hay. I studied Louise Hay when I was in my early 20s. And the one thing I did was the first time I did her visualization, and she said, go to the edge of the ocean, and what do you have in your hand? And fill up the bucket. And I had a teaspoon. And the next time I went, I had a bucket. The next time I went, I'm going, oh my God, I'm standing at the edge of the ocean, I can't see anything. That is abundance. So all of a sudden, I just put out my hands, like my arms, and accepted that that was abundance. So that was my first experience of the visual of abundance. It was the ocean, infinity, that was it. In energy work, there's infinity. We talk about setting your body up in the figure 8, which is the infinity sign. So you set your body up with infinity and it creates that energy. You perpetually bring energy in. And when you're aligned energetically, you can create faster or better. So that's a practice. I mean, that truly is, you got to practice that in life for it to come quicker and quicker. But for me to manifest 3 things in 7 days was like, oh my God. So the next big thing that I can tell you that where the surrender, I learned the surrender part, was I helped my father sell his business in 2015. And I had said, I'm going to buy the business, and he said no, and I was upset, and then that was fine. I let it go, and we got a knock on the door for somebody else to buy the business. That process, I wasn't the only one involved. There were 2 other family members, so it wasn't just my energy. But what happened during that process is that I realized that if I was the one who wanted it sold, and I had to hold the vision for it. So I was holding the vision for the whole organization, the 3 people, because my father was not energetically aligned. He knew intellectually he needed to sell it because he was in his late 70s, but emotionally he wasn't, but he let it come to me. He let me be in charge. So I'm thinking, okay, there's a sign, I need to be in charge. So I kept the vision. But that was when I said, push, you gotta get it done, you gotta get it done. All of a sudden I surrendered. It's gonna happen the way it happens, but I had to keep the vision. I had to feel it in my heart that that's what I wanted as well. I wasn't gonna leave this in somebody else's hands. I really wanted this. So that was like the surrender part, the huge vision, the feeling, all of what has been talked about up here. And the manifestation of that was huge money. And with the huge money came other dreams and other, of course, right? Of course, when you have money, you have other things that can show up in your life, the ones that you wanted. But it's interesting that even in this financial abundance comes other levels of abundance that we still need to work on a daily basis and have that practice. So the way I manifested that financial abundance was to let go of my desire. The good Lord brought somebody in to buy the company that wasn't me. it set me up for a better life than I would have had if I stayed in the company, and that's the truth. And I'm very grateful and have been grateful for 4 years every single day.
So just to backtrack, the question that Heather was describing, so you all feel this is describing a manifestation of abundance. So that's what she was describing. Amy,
Go next.
Sure.
Okay, I'll give you a couple that have happened just in the last year.
Perfect.
One more recently than the other. So we moved to our property last January, so we've been there, actually it was a year yesterday, we've been in our property. And
Happy anniversary.
thank you. And so I guess it was around April. Saturday morning, we were sitting on the couch and just talking about the week and kind of what we're gonna do that weekend. And I just said out loud what I've been kind of thinking about over the last couple weeks. I just spoke it out loud. I said, I've been thinking I'd like to find a place to serve in the community. Somewhere I could kind of get plugged into North Fort Myers. You know, that's more in alignment with what we're doing here with growing plants and trees and animals. And my husband said, you mean like Echo? And I said, well, yeah, Echo would be perfect. And so I kept talking about it. And while I'm talking, he goes and gets the laptop and he sits down and he's on the laptop and he does things like that when we're talking. So I just didn't know he was anything to do with this. And sometimes he's doing other things while he's listening to me, but I know he's really listening to me. And so he says, Amy, there's a part-time job there. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I just spoke that. But I had been thinking about it, intentionally thinking I would like to find a space that I could serve in the community. So I applied, and now I work part-time at Echo. So to me, it's not working, and I always say, I said this on YouTube the last time, I think, I probably would have done it for free. I would have volunteered there. I'm just happy it's like an education to be there. I get to play with the plants and the trees and the animals, and you know, and I'm learning. So that was one that happened last April. And then more recently, somebody said, when are you going to get more goats? And I said, well, I'm really waiting for the right fit. I'm really waiting for ones that I just feel like they belong on our farm. And I did not know that Echo, one of their goats, was pregnant. I don't know how I missed that, but it was January 2nd, and I showed up for my work, and they said, oh, did you know they had baby goats yesterday? I'm like, are you serious? And so I asked the person in charge, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're going to put them on Craigslist. I said, no, you're not. And so I have purchased the goats, and they'll be coming to our farm in about 2.5 weeks. Littlefoot and Feather.
Oh, isn't that fun? Oh, golly. Well, all of these opportunities that we can think about to talk about, well, what has transpired in each of our lives. Each of us has a story. There's financial, there's relationships, there's the holistic chamber and connections. There's the church here and the ability for us to meet and share all of these good ideas and to learn back from you as well. I wanted to just cover some things in the physical realm too, because we all have a body. We're all here in a body having an experience, right? So some things that have happened for me, and these are directly related to holistic healing, to functional foods, to some of the practices, to acupuncture, to yoga therapy. So I have sort of bone things that go on in my family. My mother lost 6 or 7 inches, I don't know. She was so short, and she had the dowager hump. So she had osteoporosis very badly. And she did use the Western medicine, and that did not really help. And so as I was getting toward 50 and I started doing the x-rays, the DEXA scan, they were telling me, oh, you're going that way. And I know how to use a spreadsheet, so I plotted it. Oh my, it was not good news. And then David, of course, in addition to everything else, he's a mathematician, and he could tell me that in the space of 29 years, if I didn't do something about the trajectory, I would have lost, in 7 years, sorry, I would have lost 29% of my bone mass. Ooh, that caught my attention. So we moved to Florida. He put me on a smoothie and certain supplements. And between those things, of course I dance too, so that you gotta have the exercise and the stress in the bones. Between those things, I would get my DEXA measurements and I could watch it march back up. And when it crossed the line where they first started measuring me, I knew I was good, I was gold. Because I have a different way to eat now that supports my bones. and gives me the minerals that I need, because that's what was going on. The bones needed to give up some of those minerals to keep my blood in the right levels of all these things. We're a very tight tolerance, you know. We're kind of miracles walking. Nervous system resets. We all have stressors in our life, and certainly we had some. We moved here with the housing crisis, and we had a lot of property, not just ours, but other people's that we were managing. That was a heavy load. But David was there with acupuncture whenever I needed it. Oh, that is just 4 little needles, the 4 gates. It's all just better. And then neck pain, well, how many of you have suffered with something for like 20 or 30 years? You're just used to it almost, but it's just awful. It doesn't help your life be happy. Well, I had a neck pain for about 30 years, and I had to treat it the only way I knew how. I went for chiropractic, and that did do better than getting surgery. Really, I'm glad I never did that in this case. Because what I ended up finding out was it was inflammation that was causing this whole problem to reoccur and reoccur and reoccur. And if I got enough acupuncture like every 2 days, I probably could have handled it. But I found raw cacao. What? Chocolate? Yeah. And in about 6 weeks, I didn't have the problem anymore. That big lump on it wasn't huge, but to me, I noticed it. The lump was no longer there. I mean, I closed down a company that it was due, it was time to close it. I wrote the checks back to people on December 25th. And then a couple weeks later, I looked up Periscope. Oh, I can still turn my neck? Huh? Where is that thing on my neck? Oh, it's not there anymore. Wow. Well, I read about cacao and inflammation, but this was the real manifestation of it. So there's such prosperity in my body. I have one other skeletal issue, though. It's called scoliosis, and I needed to do something about that. As we age, various things happen, and so I found yoga therapy, and that has helped me in so many ways. I cannot even begin to express how grateful I am for that. I'm comfortable in my body.
We all looked over at Candy, at least I did.
Yes, thank you, Candy.
Okay, I got 2 good stories describe a manifestation of abundance. So last year, I had a request from my husband. My husband's my business partner. He's a composer and a music producer, and he runs a recording studio and a handful of record labels. He said, I'm getting really busy. Can you start to maybe come back over to the business, because I was working on the chamber and doing readings, and I have a radio show, and I said, yes, I'm gonna have to let something go, because I got clear that I couldn't do everything that I had on my plate. So at that time, I made the conscious decision to let the Naples chapter go. I was running all 3 chapters of the Holistic Chamber, and Connie Bettinger was the perfect person to pass the torch over. And the minute I let that go from my field, is how I called it, I had a divine guidance to gather the community in a different way. And utilizing the skill set of my husband and I and all of our resources, we said, wouldn't it be great to create an atmosphere of community where we can gather all these talented beings who have a voice, who have a message, who have something to share by way of meditation. So Spirit said, you're going to do this compilation album called Gulf Coast Meditations, Awaken the Spirit Within. And sure enough, we did. We gathered 12, we'd say 12, I was on it as well. We gathered 13 incredible beings. Deb Martin is one, Candy Taylor Love is another. And we quickly, within a week, it filled up. And that was last August. And in 3 weeks, it went #1 on Amazon for hot new releases worldwide. And that was incredible. But Spirit had also said, oh, by the way, you're not going to do 1, you're going to do 4. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And here we are, all this time later. We released Awaken the Spirit Within, and all these are here, so you can look at them, purchase them, feel them. Then we did one on chakras. the 7 chakras. Candy does a beautiful forward on that, and we each have a different meditation. This Friday, we're releasing Gulf Coast Abundance Meditations. And in April, we're releasing Gulf Coast Children's, Tweens, and Teens, because we know how important it is for our future generations, and we're thrilled about that. So that was a quick, oh my goodness, okay, what am I gonna do to help my husband and build the business? And then literally it's about when you get the sign, this also abundance is when you have the signs to know to let go of something. It's not just looking forward of all these things I want, but making the space. You have to create the abundance within your own real estate, within yourself, to know where do I balance myself out. So I knew letting go of one thing was going to bring in another. So that's really important too, as just a teaching point. The other thing I always talk about is writing things down. How many of you write things down when you have that clarity? I'll make this really brief, but it's my most touching one, is that I had an argument with my past partner before my husband, and I went home that day, and I said, you know, I'm clear that he's not my life partner, and I'm going to write down exactly what I want in a partner. So I wrote 33 things that were extremely crystal clear. And as time went on, most of you know, that partner passed away. Tragically, and as time went on, my best friend and I fell in love, and that is my husband now, which most of you all know, Howard. But I wrote it down, and so he is teased all the time that I call him Mr. 33. It's just, you know, this is who he is. But I manifested exactly the list, because it was clear when I looked at the partner at the time, and I was like, there's like several things on here that this person wasn't. And then as time went on, Howard unfolded perfectly into that role. So write things down, whether it's a job, a person, a goal at your career, or whatever it is, it's bringing it in and bringing it into the physical. People say all the time, write it down, but it's tried and true tested. How many of you have done it and seen it besides the 4 of us up here? Write it down, it works. All right, what's next?
Cool. All right, what's next is, you know that we have booths over there, and some of you have had a chance to visit, and maybe you haven't visited all of them, or you didn't have a chance yet. So each of us has a special, and I'm going to hand it first to Amy, and tell us what your special is over there, Amy.
Okay, my special is a getaway. So the getaway is a mini retreat. It's a 3.5 hour time period at our farm, and it includes group health and life coaching with me, and then it's followed by someone that does something very calming. It's a healing way of, either it's meditation, I've had crystal bowls, I've had several different types of yoga. This month, February 15th, is Qigong with Candace Tranter. And so, again, a slow way to kind of physically manifest what it is that your intentions were set while we're doing the group coaching. Followed by a picnic lunch. A lot of it's from what I'm growing on the farm, since I have an abundance of things growing. I'm not even buying lettuce or kale now, so I have that in my garden. And then time with the animals. We go down and feed the goats and the chickens, and they're very friendly. They come around and love on you. And then we wrap up with setting our intentions and moving forward.
February 15th is the date for that. Okay, good. And go sign up with Amy for that. Okay. At my table, I'm giving away a food consultation. So, and when you come into the clinic for a food consult, you really are starting with Dr. David and the person who will be spending a little more time talking about the specifics on some of the food with you. So it's a free food consult, and that's at least a 60-minute, sometimes it's a 90, oftentimes it's a 90. So it's a really great value, and I'd love to see how I can help you with that. Also over at the table, there's all kinds of things food-oriented that I'm doing. I'm actually going to be talking about raw chocolate here as medicine on the 15th of February. It's the Unity. And then we have other classes that you can find out about at our booth. The fermented food is coming up. We have another class called Food is Medicine. So we're always doing some things with food.
mic, I guess I go next. So I have just recreated the Energy Boost Self-Care program, facilitator program. So those of you who want to do it, think you want to do it, if you sign up and put your name on the list today, I'll give you $200 off so you can be a facilitator. So not just learn the 20 techniques and the muscle motion. Bottom line is that we are energetic beings and sometimes our energy gets stuck. If you knew how to access that energy and get it in flow again, you'd have the start in conjunction with the way you eat and what you drink, the way to get rid of pain, inflammation, keep the energy flowing. So in order to the community to teach others how to do these techniques is really what I'm all about. So if you sign up, if you put your name on the list today, I'll give you $200 off. Oh, and it starts February 2nd, is 6 weeks group coaching, and the in-person is at Lotus Blossom Clinic on March the 7th and 8th.
Fantastic. So today at the Intuitive Wisdom Table, we have all the CDs that we're talking about today. The Abundance CD is releasing this Friday worldwide, digitally. That means that you can purchase it on Amazon, Spotify, Pandora. It's anywhere digital. Also, we have physical CDs that will be here in a couple weeks. If you purchase it today, normally they're $15, today they are $10. And I just decided in this moment that the other CDs that are, including the original one that went #1 in the chakras. We have other CDs, including Candy Taylor Love CD. I don't know about yours, but I'm going to make the rest of them $10 today instead of $15, just to give everybody that abundance, because all of them are going to make a big difference in your life. So if you want to pre-order, you just put your name down there, and we'll make sure when the abundance CD comes in that will be available to you. And normally they'll be $15. And then I'm not even sure what the price is online. They're usually a little bit different in price when you get them on Amazon. I think that's it, besides our wonderful announcements. Anybody have any questions, any other thoughts that we can offer? We have lots of things that we can share with you to help you along your abundant path. You have a comment? Yeah. All right, comment to it.
So I have a business partner, as I think I've told you, and she's been a clinical energy worker for 20 years. So we started off our business as muscle tuner specialists. We're licensing muscle tuner specialists. About, not even a year ago, but within the last year, I had to let that go for myself. And as a result of letting go of that, the Energy Boost Self-Care was born. And I already started doing it, but I'm doing it in a much bigger way. So when Lainie says, let go of something that isn't aligned, and the universe opens up to you, it did for me as well. So I welcome you and invite you to join me on my journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather, Deb, Amy. What were you going to say?
I was going to just tag on to something here
Perfect.
with Heather and just say that Heather is also part of my abundant body, because there are certain things you just have to come and try and experience and talk to these people, because there are things that are amazing. So maybe your bones are all in place, but something's still not quite right, and some part of your body isn't as powerful as it used to be, not as strong. Give her 3 minutes. You might be shocked.
Well, I'm going to just throw in a little testimonial that I had I was a spinning instructor, and I had hurt my IT band, and I went, she was teaching the Energy Boost, I had already taken it, and I went as the, what was I, the model or the example? But you worked on me that night, and in 15-20 minutes I walked away pain-free, and it had been chronic for a while, so her work is extremely abundant. So, all right. I also want to mention, we're going to just share with you a few upcoming events that you can jump into as well for your abundant growth. It's coming up pretty quickly. I've done this now a couple times, and Deb has taken it, and Candy's taken it. It's called Infinite Magnificence, and we've been promoting it out there, but it's a very incredible immersion into, we say from cellular to solar, but it's really an in-depth exploration into the talents you don't know are within to help you become abundant. And we have a couple spots left. We filled it up at 12. Last time we did 10, and we said we'd either do 12 or 15. So we're at 12, and we can go to 15. It's February 7th through 9th, and it is on our farm in Pine Island. And if you want to know more about it, please see me later. If you want to ask Candy what it was like, or Deb, but it's an extremely wonderful way to share what you have. I would say that since this time, Candy's on her 3rd album, and Deb is a multi-CD recording artist as well. Many things come out of this. Divine expressions that are waiting to emerge will emerge in this weekend. So it's coming up February 7th through 9th. See me about that. The other wonderful thing that we're doing, we've been talking about this for a while, and it's not until June, is being abundant for your body, just like Deb was sharing earlier. How important it is to be abundant on all levels, because on the physical level, it will sustain us with everything else that we're wanting to manifest. And so we're doing a nourish, heal, relax, and refreshed, the Ultimate Food Healing Retreat. It's down in Isla Mujeres, which is just a little ferry ride off Cancun. So it's an hour flight. And it's a week of spending time with Deb and Candy and Amy and Heather and myself and Lucille and Jeff. And actually the founder, Camille Leone, is the absolute amazing founder of this entire organization, now going into its 10th year, across the country and Canada. And so Camille will be joining us at this week retreat, and she'll be sharing her thoughts. And so we're all going to be nutritiously abundant together with incredible food, atmosphere, friendship, connection. So please see us if you want to be part of this. There's a few spots left. We'd love to have you.
Cool. And there are going to be more community education panels right here. So there's you can grab one of these flyers at the front table there. This one tells you what are the topics in which of the months. So for example, next month, coming right up, is Healing the Subconscious Mind. This is also a flyer that you can pick up over there at the front. We have some other upcoming topics. Oh boy, it's going to be a whole bunch of fun things in April. But March, effective and natural ways to de-stress. So February is Healing the Subconscious Mind. March, effective and natural ways to de-stress. And then in April, we'll be at the Crowne Plaza Hotel. So mark your calendars. This is our 2nd annual, and our first one was a huge success. Our booth was rocking the whole time. There were people lined up before the thing even started. And people were really hungry for this exact kind of thing. Many of us here with the Holistic Chamber have booths. And there are panels there as well. We're going to do 4 panels this year. Conscious parenting. There's going to be a big focus there this time, and a conscious kids corner with all sorts of things going on, an enchanted forest, and it's a great place for people with children to be able to drop them off and be able to go to the booths and be adults. Did you want to say something more? That's April 11th at the Crowne Plaza Hotel. So conscious parenting is the first panel. Foods for healing your body temple, the magic of meditation, sound healing and music therapy. Wow, all fabulous topics. And then we've got others coming. So go grab one of these and come see us next month.
All right. Jeff, what is your track on the Abundance CD?
Abundance and optimum health.
Beautiful. Lucille. What is your track on the Abundance CD?
It's on abundant ratings, inner and outer ratings.
That's perfect. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. All right, any last questions before we convene over at the booth? Ellie.
So you talked about having a vision. So day-to-day kinds of things come up, right? How do you stay? I know you talked about having a morning practice. Do you do anything during the day as you know you get off center?
I can speak to that. Okay, so when I manifested the 3 things in 7 days,
Can you repeat the question?
so the question was, do we have any, we have the vision, we know what we want. do we do anything on a daily basis to make it happen faster? So what I did was, I did 2 vision boards, but this one, it was a matter of looking at the picture for 3 minutes every day. And you breathe in, you hold it, and when you breathe out, you see it. So you breathe in, you hold it for a count of 4, and then you look at the board and you breathe out. So it's on the breath out that you actually, and when you're holding your breath, you start to open your eyes and look at the board, and then when you're on your out breath, you visualize it. That's what I did, and it seemed to work.
It did.
I'm a big meditator, and I chant every morning with my mala beads. So while I'm in prayer or in ceremony, I set the intention for the day and what it is that I'd like to receive. Because I know I'm going to be out there doing a million things, but I'm also clear that as I'm doing, I'm equally receiving. So I make a point always to say, how am I receiving today? And I tell that to my clients in the readings, like even get a receiving journal. How did I receive today? Because if you're just doing, there's an imbalance there, and that also is counterintuitive to abundance and manifestation. So I say get a receiving journal, whether it's 3 things, whether it's somebody let you in the lane, or they bought your coffee, or you got a discount because something was on sale and you weren't expecting it. Whatever it is, write it down how you received today, and maybe even total it. Like today I saved $92. And the next day, wow, today I saved $579. You can track it. I always am a big believer of writing things down, but the receiving journal, but also I let it go. Once I'm done with my morning intention and clarity, like the restaurant example, I've given it to God. I've given it to Spirit. My intentions are there, and I don't need to choke the energy any further and keep praying for it. Like, we're clear, we're partners, and I'm allowing that now to come into me. So I do let it go to allow it to flow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've definitely been looking at that whole allowing piece myself more lately, because I can take a battering ram and open up almost any door, but I found out that's not always a good idea. So one of the things that I do, though, because we all get caught up in the moment, or something happens and that upsets us on some level, we have to deal with it. In order to get back into an energy flow, for me, even just taking that moment, looking outside, going outside, and if at all possible, hugging a tree. Touch that tree. Feel that energy. This is something that I have acquired over time. I didn't know how to do this. I could touch a tree and I didn't feel anything. What's different now? Well, it has to do with food. Those of you who come on the 15th will learn more. But really to just take that moment, breathe, connect with nature, and then I feel more aligned.
5 minutes, feet in the ground. Another one.
I like that. I have a morning routine also, so that's where it starts. And then I've strategically planned times throughout the day where I am still, because I'm a mover, so everything I do is always moving. And so if I'm still, breathing, closing my eyes, meditating, praying, and really focusing on letting go of whatever is getting in my way. So I try to really be intentional about that throughout the day, otherwise I can get in my way.
We can go on and on. So we will end here, and we thank you. You can contact any of us anytime, but go ahead and chat with us over there. And thanks for taking the step and being here today. And if you felt that you received from this, thank you. That to us is wonderful. And thank you to everybody listening in YouTube land. And please share this once you see that it goes up. And we hope to see you at the fair. We hope to see you at our panels. We have a lot more wisdom to share, and a wonderful, wonderful membership of a lot of people who have a lot of gifts to offer to you all. So thank you.